Hi, it's Jackie here from the LGFA. We're on another Zoom call. You've been used to these over the last couple of weeks and months, so great to have you on board again. I'm very, very happy to be joined on the line today by two ladies from Naomh Fionnbarra in Cork. And the reason I wanted to do something on this was Peter O'Leary, the hard-working Cork PRO, put up a match report from Naomh Fionnbarra and Bishopstown recently. And it came to our attention that there are mums on the Naomh Fionnbarra team, very recent mums. So I'm delighted to have them here with me today. So Caroline Burke is on the top left-hand side of my screen. Good morning, Caroline. And have Carmel McCarthy on the bottom of my screen. Ladies, how are you doing? All right?
Great, yeah. Good. Babies are asleep, so it's all good.
So you're taking this precious time to talk to me as well. So what could be better? What could be better? Folks, great to have you. Caroline, I'm going to kick off with yourself because we were texting over and back just to tee this one up. You took a fairly long sabbatical from football. So tell us why have you decided to go? How long were you out for, and why did you decide to come back?
Well, I'm only back like probably over a month at this stage, and it was actually Carmel that got on to me to come back. So I suppose I stopped playing when I was about, I think it was 22 at the time. We'd had a really, really good run with Naomh Fionnbarra. We'd gone all the ways from junior B up to senior B at the time, and all the ways through my secondary school years and college years, we were full on playing football. I suppose I studied medicine, and then I was doing my intern year, and it was the time of the 36-hour shifts, and I just wasn't able to kind of coordinate the two things together. And then I suppose, as things go in your 20s, a bit of traveling and different things like that, and never really came back around it. I was living in Dublin for the last couple of years, and I was thinking about maybe joining a team there, and it was kind of always in the back of my mind. I hadn't really got rid of the boots, but then Carmel got on to me, sent me some video, I think, of an old match, and then I heard there was a few more girls had gone back, and that was it then, really. I suppose after lockdown and everything, looking for an outlet, and with a new baby, looking for, I suppose, a form of exercise and somewhere to gather. So that was kind of the reasoning behind it, really. And Naomh Fionnbarra were completely welcoming and just encouraging to come back and give it a go. So yeah, so enjoying it anyway the last few weeks.
Brilliant. Carmel, good to have you on board as well. So obviously the gist of what we're talking about today is that how on earth you managed to come back and play football so quickly after having kids, because you're both the mothers of young girls, and I hope they're both well. Carmel, so what's your situation in terms of did you keep playing all the way through your career, or did you have any breaks at any stage, and how did you get back so quickly to on the field to play after having your baby?
Well, I think the last time I played was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and that was a club. And like that, I think life just took over. I was working full time as a speech therapist. Okay. And I also went back to do teaching at Hibernia College online. So like all my time was either work or college. And then I suppose I got married, and then I had Ivy, so I just never really got back to it. And then this year, one of my friends, Lisa Maxwini, we started playing together when we were like maybe 9 or 10. We played with the boys back in Ivlera. So she got on to me, she said, would you come back for just one more year? And I said, you know what, I might as well, because the whole lockdown thing had happened, and I knew that it was going to be a short season, and I just wanted to get out and kind of get active again as well. So how did I get back? I actually don't know. I'm still not where I should be. But I think over lockdown, I just got out running, and then doing a bit of Pilates and just getting my core strength back again. And like that, I'm not where I should be at all, but it's just great to be back with the girls and be with a gang again. And it's very hard to go out and do it on your own. So I definitely think team sports are just the way to go. And like I said, it's all young girls at training now at the moment, so they're definitely pushing up the standards and making us keep up with them. But it's really good fun. A few more other girls besides myself and Carling have gone back, so it makes it a little bit nicer as well. Your friends around you.
That's brilliant. I really love that story. I think what we're finding anecdotally is that the lockdown has really sharpened people's hunger for football. It makes them realise how much they've missed it. But you two have got to factor in motherhood and and all of that into the equation as well, which is no mean feat and no easy feat. So it's absolutely brilliant. Carmel, you're very modest now, right? But you were a key member of the Cork panel for a number of years as well that won All-Ireland titles. And I know by your face you don't like bringing it up, but I'm going to anyway. What were those days like with Cork under Eamon Ryan? And I'm actually going to be chatting to Juliette Murphy quite soon today as well. So great times, Carmel.
Yeah, Juliette's a new mom as well. I wonder
right.
if she's back playing because she has 2 babies now. She had a baby around the same time as Ivy Rose, but I think a little boy. But they were great times. Like they were like when I look back now, I think I appreciate them even more because first of all, they were just such a lovely gang of girls. Like going to training, going to matches was just such a pleasure because they were just such a lovely girls to be around with. And like Eamon Ryan, he's just an unbelievable man. I just loved his way of training. It was just done so simply. He never raised a voice. It was really motivational. He was just amazing, and it was just such a privilege to be able to say that I trained under him, you know. But I was definitely my key member. First of all, I was on the fringes, but no, I really enjoyed it. It really brought me on as well. We had a trainer, Justin McCarthy, who trained me from Fionnbarra, and I don't think only for him I would have made it onto the panel. He was so professional with us, wasn't he, Caroline? We're doing everything that people are doing now, probably back then.
I think back, to be honest, like we were doing drills to a T. We had ice baths after most training sessions. Everything was on the clock. You couldn't be late. Everything, even down to like nutrition and kind of the stuff outside of, you know, what you were doing on the pitch. And for like, I suppose, young girls growing up in a rural place, you know, just to see that kind of professionalism and, you know, get an appetite for that kind of, I suppose we were very motivated at the time and we drove it on. But it's nice because I suppose coming back, as Carmen was saying, as maybe one of the older girls now on the team, like you see that appetite again and the younger girls and the spirit they have and the passion, and it's like it's really driving us on, you know. So I suppose we kind of decided to come back to, well, me anyway, just give it a go and see a few people and things. But now that we're playing, like it's, you know, it's very, very enjoyable. So fair play to them, you know.
And definitely like you go back for the enjoyment, but then the like competitive juices get going.
Like,
I want to make the team.
They never leave you, I'd imagine, Carmel.
Exactly.
And Caroline, come here. So you're busy. Like you're towards the end of your studies now as well, aren't you?
Well, I suppose I'm enjoying my maternity leave, definitely. It's like a fantastic time, I suppose, to take stock as well. You know, when you are so busy working and things, maybe you don't get a chance to kind of look at where you're at. And obviously with the lockdown, everything came to a standstill. I'm finishing out my exams at the moment, so I actually had my last clinical exam there on Wednesday, so I was thrilled to go out and play a match and just forget all about it, you know. So it's kind of a tonic for that side of life as well, you know, just kind of dealing with stress and kind of a different outlet where you just forget about everything else and you're just concentrating on the ball and the girls around you, you know. So that's the way it is. Yeah.
Good. Carmel, does your partner play sports?
No, thank God. Because if he did play, I'd probably never get out. But no, he's been great, because only for Jack, I definitely wouldn't be out at all. He works in his family business. They have a hotel in Macroom, the Castle Hotel.
Lovely.
And he's the chef there. So like naturally, like with chefing hours, you're finishing late. So he's been great. Like, so he'll finish early the nights I have training, or else my mom will come in, or Jack's sister will come up and they'll take over. So like you do feel like a little bit guilty, you know, walking out the door and you're trying to feed her before you go and whatever. But like it's so important. Like you just have to make time for yourself. Like, and sure, like I think she's not only different, and like it's better that we're going away and being healthy and able to deal with whatever comes.
We'll keep an eye on your line. It's just breaking a little bit, Carmel. I'll go back to Caroline in the meantime. Caroline, Carmel's having a great time there, isn't she? I mean, Jack is a chef, serving up the food and the whole lot, and letting her out to train it. And then
play to dinner some night.
And Caroline, you have Bart as well, who does play.
He does, yeah. So actually Bart has been very encouraging. Like he donated shorts, a gum shield, which came in since I last played, got me a pair of gloves and all that. So do you know what? He was kind of pushing me out the door a good few evenings, because like what Carmel was saying, you know, I suppose being a mother, you know, it's a 24/7 job, and particularly with feeding, as well, like myself and Carmel are both breastfeeding as well, so I suppose we have to factor that into feeding our babies before we go out, and kind of the whole physical side of it really, you know. So I have to say, without like kind of someone supportive at home and like that family coming in to, you know, my mother lives over in Inchkeela, so if we're training I'll drop the baby off, and you know, I suppose like family coming in and out, and that is all crucial really, you know. So
Yeah, Karen, you've touched on something I wanted to talk about, because we've partnered with Fitter Woman not so long ago, and they're an app that studies the effects of the menstrual cycle on female athletes, and how they train and recover and indeed play. Breastfeeding is something that I think should be talked about a lot more. I mean, how does it really impact on you when you're trying to live a busy life and playing competitive sports as well?
100%, and it's actually World Breastfeeding Week this week, so it couldn't be better timed, this conversation. I suppose I never really knew much kind of in terms of, you know, other people playing sports and breastfeeding. But I suppose like coming from a medical background, I know it's, you know, obviously it's proven to be, you know, I suppose optimal for maternal health for the mum and for the baby. So I suppose I kind of had the attitude of, you know, any extra week I can breastfeed is perfect, and then life gets busier, and now I'm playing football and breastfeeding. So I suppose it's just something that you factor into your day-to-day life, and actually it's probably a lot easier because there's no kind of, you know, gathering bits and pieces. It's kind of, you know, on the go. But yeah, I suppose physically, I suppose maintaining, you know, that you're hydrated, that you're eating properly, all that kind of thing. But yeah, we're just taking it week by week at the moment, and seeing how things go. But it's working out, yeah.
Good. Carmel, I'm sure a lot of what Caroline is talking about there is resonating with you very strongly.
Yeah, I was just thinking there, I actually didn't look into any of the medical background, into any of that before I went back playing football. But I was just like, I'm feeding, but I want to go back playing football. Like, why can't I do both, you know? And I'll just see how it goes. So like that, you're kind of, you know, like it is possible to do both. I was really happy to breastfeed Ivy, and I just wanted to continue doing that. And as Caroline said, we'll see how it goes week by week. She's on the food now, so she's loving
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you know, trying to like feed her before you leave the house, and then you're coming home and you're expressing. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so you're feeding.
Resting in the car on the way home is right, yeah. So
You're home, it's like, but it's good. It's really good to be able to do it, and it's really good to be able to get it. And yeah,
like it shouldn't hold you back, you know. You should be able to do the things you want to do as well, you know. So yeah.
It's a great story, Carol, and I don't mean it in that sense. I mean, when you take everything into account, I mean, what you're doing for a living, the sabbatical you had from football, the fact that you're back so soon after having a baby. I mean, was there ever a flicker during those years that did you miss football that much, or were you just so consumed by other things in your life, Caroline, that you didn't have a chance to think about football?
Yeah, I suppose like I love new experiences and new challenges, so definitely kind of traveling and doing different things, and I suppose with my career doing different jobs and rotating around different hospitals and things like that. I honestly don't know where the last 10 years went, but I have to say, I suppose it's always in you. You know, I suppose I'm part of that culture, particularly with Bart playing football as well. I suppose I was going to a few of his training sessions and walking with Rosa May, and you know, he was going for a kick around and we were going for a walk, and then it kind of dawned on me like maybe I wouldn't mind doing a kick around myself, you know. So it's fantastic to be able to make it work. You know, coordinating, he's got championship coming up now next weekend, and that, and kind of going to each other's games, I suppose, and things as well to make it all work. So I suppose like I did a good bit of kind of like running, and you know I never left kind of, I suppose, that interest in sports, yoga, Pilates, that type of thing. Did a bit of cycling and things like that. But like Carmel said, you know, there's nothing like a team sport, having girls around you, girls you're friends with since you were, you know, young, in a familiar place. And I have to say, I suppose the management in Naomh Fionnbarra, like they're fantastic in terms of encouraging younger girls, but also encouraging us. It was kind of a domino effect, really, I suppose. You know, one of the girls went back and then contacted someone else, and it's just a lovely sign of a small club in a rural area. And then to have that standard of younger players that are driving it all forward, you know. So I know they're really keen to kind of get the underage teams up and running, because what, you know, I suppose what Carmel was saying, that a good few of the younger players are actually playing with the boys still and that. So, you know, just to kind of drive on numbers in a smaller place is always a challenge. But like at the moment we've 33, 34 training like most nights, so it's phenomenal. Like, in the quality of football, you can break off into nearly a full pitch session, you know, it's brilliant. And I suppose that the amount that the lads are putting into it, you know, the likes of Billy Toomey, and the lads down at home, like really just full commitment, you know. So I suppose it's a great thing to be involved with, and like Carmel said, take it week on week with the small baby and with feeding and everything, but absolutely enjoying it. And I suppose breastfeeding shouldn't be a barrier to doing the rest of the things that you want to do, and particularly I suppose for mental health, you know, as a young mum, you know, it's important that I suppose young mums have an outlet. At the moment, you know, all of the groups that would normally happen aren't happening, so just to go along, and I suppose for younger girls to see that it is possible as well, you know. So it's, yeah, that's where we're at the moment anyway.
Okay, good, Carmel. We've lost Carmel, right? So we'll just keep an eye. I'll just drop her a quick message to try and get her to dial back in. Karen, is there many mums on your panel then, or what's the kind of split?
At the moment, as far as I know, it's just myself and Carmel at the moment. But down through the years, we, you know, I suppose Carmel's older sister, Joanne, when I was 17, 18, she would have given me spins to trainings and matches. And, you know, she's a few children. And then another girl, Dee Dee Harrington, she was kind of a key player when we were on our campaign all the ways up to senior B. She was our midfielder, and you know, she was bringing along her little girl to training, and it was just phenomenal to see. And like that, her husband was supporting her, and her little girl Aisling was coming along. And I suppose we saw that when we were 17 or 18. And I mean, she was a phenomenal athlete, and she still is. I was cycling the Ring of Kerry coming into Carsiveen, and who did I see coming up along beside me? Only Dee Dee, and she's fitter probably than any of us now at the moment. But like that, you know, an older kind of girl, I suppose, at the time, driving us all on, and I suppose it's kind of nice how the cycle goes like that, you know.
Okay, so what does Bart do with himself for a living then, Caroline?
Yeah, so Bart's a doctor as well, actually. So we've had a few years kind of moving around. We were in Dublin for a couple of years just getting our training done. But Bart is back in CUH now here in Cork. So it's very handy. He's home at kind of 5:15, and he's not long gone and stuff. So it's working out really well, just to be home, to be back in Cork and have family around, I suppose, and be able to coordinate the career, you know, with the sports and the extracurricular stuff. So.
Okay, I think Carmel is coming back in. There she is. Welcome back to the show, Carmel. Caroline, the question I want to ask you as well, and it's one I suppose that people, I'm going to take these off actually because I was getting a little bit of a crackle on the line. Caroline, what are you going to do then when time comes to get back to work? What kind of social support do you have? Because we find that it's important to have somebody and we're fortunate to have people that we can call on and rely upon if we need to do something or go somewhere, and we just need someone to look after the lads for a little while. So how are you set up in that front?
Yeah, I suppose it's tricky at the moment in that, like, you know, a lot of the creches are only just reopening and that. So I will be going back to work at the end of the year in a GP practice, and Bart obviously will be still in CUH. But we're lucky we've got 4 grandparents, and they're all, you know, super involved and that. And, you know, we've got their support the whole time, which is really great. Bart's sister lives down the road. My sister's passing every day. My niece Sophia is helping out a good bit. Now she'll be going back to college. We'll miss her a lot, but so like that, it's kind of the whole family unit, I suppose, you know. I'd like to think that I could get them back for something else, you know, if they needed us. And I suppose you need that support with a small baby, and it's great for her as well, just kind of, you know, I suppose to be sociable and to come along to matches and to see the grandparents and everything like that. So it's been really tough with COVID and with the pandemic, and I suppose we're all just hoping that, you know, things can turn around next year and we can see a sense of normality where we can easily do the social things and, you know, get kind of, I suppose, the creches back up and running and the supports for our families, you know, particularly schools and everything like that.
Carmel, good to have you back. We lost you there for a couple of minutes. I was just keeping an eye on your line. It was a little bit intermittent, but we do have you back.
Yeah, shaky.
Carmel, Caroline makes some great points there, and I suppose during lockdown we had the two boys, Jack and Connor, here, and it was like we were watching them growing up in front of our very eyes, and we could see all the little developments that they were making right throughout that time. And now we have baby Aaron, who was only born a couple of days ago, which is a new addition to our lives. So how have you found that whole experience of lockdown and COVID and having a young baby and coping with all of that, Karen? Because it's just so new and so different for everybody. I suppose now would be the time when you'd be thinking of maybe the creche or going back to work or whatever the case may be. How have you found everything, Carmel?
Yes. Like Jeff, for Mick, the hotel was obviously closed, so he was at home with Ivy for a few months. I think we
might have lost her again, Caroline, have we?
Yeah, no hassle, yeah.
We'll just
hotels, and I think we researched for like 2 hours before he and then home. She's in bed. That's like everybody else. But so he loved being at home with her, and it was great to have the three of us here together. But like that, like it was really hard her not seeing her grandparents, and I was kind of feeling like, God, she's missing out on all the socialization, and you know, so, and I suppose the other thing is, like, you know, you didn't get a chance to go to these like nice baby toddler groups that you're supposed to go to, like baby sensory or water babies. So it was quite hard that way. But I suppose we're kind of looking at that she's still really young and that she didn't really notice what was going on. I know with people who had children who were older, it was much harder. They're out of school and out of routine and things like that. So and like Caroline said, you know, like we're really lucky that we have family close by. A lot of people don't have family close by, and it's probably been easy support. I'm actually not going in September because part of the reason is that
Carmel, we're going to keep an eye on that line. It's just it's dropping in and out there the whole time. Caroline, we're picking up on what glitches of what Carmel is saying there, but she's making some really good points in terms of you know, I suppose the whole experience that we've gone through in the last few months as parents has been just unprecedented. And it's certainly a year we're not going to forget in a hurry, Caroline.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose being a first-time mum, and in fairness, we were lucky enough in that, like, you know, everyone could see our babies and that, like, for the first kind of, you know, 5 to 6 weeks. But you know, for a good few weeks there was kind of outside the window chats with a small baby, you know, and kind of having to go back into the car to feed her, change nappy, and then chat again outside the window. But look, we're coming out of it, and I suppose, you know, the fine weather and things, we can all go for walks and get out and about and feel a bit safer meeting up and that. And I suppose, you know, there's nothing harder you'll do than actually, you know, give birth to a baby. And I suppose after that, maybe you kind of feel stronger that you could, you know, I suppose even the thought of going back playing football, you kind of think, sure, you know, maybe anything is possible. So it's, you know, on that front. So I suppose like that, just having family, but we've been through a very tricky and difficult time, but just hoping we're coming out of it and that there's positivity and hope there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Carmel, we'll try and come back to you there. Are you still with us? It's just the line's a little bit tricky on you, but so what are your hopes and plans for the immediate future, Carmel? Well, she's gone again, but unfortunately we've lost her. She might come back. So Caroline, you're very much taking it day by day at the moment, and when will you get results of your exams, and what's next?
Oh, hopefully soon. I'm still having flashbacks from Wednesday, but hopefully that's the end of it now. And I'll be back in a practice at the end of the year here in Cork. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that as well. And I suppose just coming from the health background, you know, just knowing how, I suppose, important exercise is. Like the more we move, the better we feel. There's a whole ethos now of kind of an exercise prescription, you know, instead of, I suppose, starting with, for example, a blood pressure tablet or a cholesterol tablet, to actually sit down with the person, see where they're at, and what changes they can make in their life, and then giving them an actual exercise prescription, bringing them back and seeing if there's any improvement. It's the same with mental health. I think exercise is a cure for a lot of ailments, and keeping people connected, and avoiding that kind of isolation and that. So I suppose that's where the Gaelic football comes in, even for people going along to watch matches. You know, I suppose it's just that kind of outlet for our exercise, and it can, you know, benefit you obviously in so many different ways. Like, so.
Karen, were you encouraged then during lockdown to see so many people out cycling, running, walking?
Oh,
It was a marked increase.
phenomenal. Like, I was out with the buggy, and, you know, I was kind of walking over with the buggy, and I was like, maybe I could actually kind of go for a run here with the buggy and stuff. So it's phenomenal to see. Like, where we're living, we're down by the marina here, just by Páirc Uí Chaoimh, in Cork City, and like, just to be walking around and seeing all ages, you know, kids out with their scooters, and then older people, just, you're kind of seeing the same faces a lot of the time, but like phenomenal athletes around the place running, and like that kind of drives you on as well, that whole culture. And, you know, seeing, it's, you know, some days there, you know, when it was particularly sunny, I was thinking you could be anywhere, you know, you could, this, you know, I suppose just a lovely kind of lifestyle to be exercising and outside. And hopefully the emphasis has come back on that a little bit as well, particularly for families, that quality time. And like I said, from the health point of view, you know, just, I suppose, if you could add in any bit of movement into your day, I think, you know, the benefits are just endless, really. They say sitting is the new smoking. So actually sitting and not moving around, it's the new kind of bad habit, I suppose, that needs to be tackled. So yeah, that's I suppose all part of it.
Important message. Before I go back to Carmel, Carol, I just want to ask you one question. Have you heard of our initiative, Gaelic for Mothers and Others? Have you heard of, is there a club near you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, my parents-in-law mentioned it, that there's one happening. I think it's in Newmarket at the moment, where my husband is from. But it's great, phenomenal. Like, that's something I definitely look to get involved with as well down the line, and look into a little bit more. But it's definitely as well, I suppose, something that I'd be suggesting for our new mums or people coming in. You know, I suppose that it's there and that it's an outlet for people.
Caroline's been touching on the importance of exercise and keeping fit. Just, you know, you talk about you're not where you want to be, and I think you've been quite hard on yourself after having a baby. But that whole exercise piece, Carmel, how important has that been for you in terms of your physical and mental health right throughout your life?
Oh, it's been huge. Like, I think for me in football, it's the one form of exercise where I completely forget about everything else. So anything could be going on. And when you're on the football pitch with the ball in your hands and a few girls around you, you just forget about everything but the ball. And that's just so great for your mind, just to be able to completely switch off. I know for other people it's yoga or it's Pilates or whatever, but for me it's football. And I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to go back, because I suppose when you have a baby, your life kind of becomes the baby and you give so much to them, like, you know, but it's really important that you still find something that's just you. And for the people that might be like going shopping or might be going for a coffee, but for me it was going back playing football, and it just gives me a sense of myself back again. And, you know, that's really important as well.
Yeah, no, you touch on a good point there, Carmel. So I asked the question to Caroline there previously. So was there always that flicker that you would come back to football at some point, Carmel, or were you so not consumed, but other things in your life were happening at the time that took precedence? Or did you ever think you'd see the day when you'd come back to football, Carmel?
No,
Right.
I definitely didn't think I'd go back to football. I definitely thought, I didn't even have football boots. So my friend Lisa Mack, again, she had to give me her football boots for the first week or two. And I had to dig out old jerseys. Thank God I had kept my jerseys. And I was wearing Jack's football, Macroom football shorts. That didn't go down well. So no, I definitely didn't think it. But I'm so happy. Like, that's the thing. It's just so easy to step back. It's like driving a car. You go back and you can pick it up where you left off. I'm so happy I did go back this year. It's the best thing I've done so far.
It's a great message. It's a great message that the two of you have. I mean, from my own point of view, I played a bit of junior football back in the day. I don't know how I'd be now going back at 43 years of age. I think it'd take me a bit longer to recover after training and matches anyway. That's one thing for sure. So Caroline, how have you found that piece? In terms of, look, there's a huge impact on a female's body having a child, but to go back then into that training piece and the recovery and you're aware in the line of work that you are of preparation, recovery, hydration, nutrition, but just what was the reality for you, Caroline, when you went back?
So I suppose giving birth is a massive physical exertion, obviously, and from a medical point of view, I suppose it depends on everybody's experience, and I don't think people should feel under pressure. I think just moving gradually and, I suppose tailoring it to what you're able for is key. Personally, I was very, very aware of kind of the pelvic health side of things from seeing women coming in, particularly, with kind of bladder issues and that as well. So I suppose I'd always recommend that new mums would go and get a pelvic physio assessment. The Mummy MOT, it's called. There's a good few clinics here in Cork and definitely across the country that offer that. And I suppose there's a huge presence online as well for physios that are tailored specifically for new mums. It's really important that kind of postnatal, kind of gradually building up, rehabbing your glutes. I mean, you don't use your glutes at all in pregnancy, and even your posture, obviously your center of gravity completely changes during pregnancy. So your whole mechanics and everything, it's not something you can just, well, I don't know, maybe for you, Carmel, but I definitely had to kind of build things up slowly, walking, running, building up with squats, lunges, glutes, and just kind of doing those gradual kind of Pilates things myself. There's one girl that I was in touch with when I was in Dublin, and I suppose one of the silver linings of COVID is that her classes went online. Lorna O'Dwyer is her name. She's actually a GA player herself with a club in Dublin. And she's got an online presence where she actually offers specific Zoom classes for women in pregnancy, postnatal women. And I suppose the fact that she actually plays football herself, she's completely aware of, that it's a lot of obviously single leg strength, building up kind of those muscles around the pelvis again, and kind of preventing any kind of long-term, injuries or that really. So I suppose it's kind of, taking it slow and just seeing what you're able for, not putting pressure on yourself, understanding the huge physical exertion that you've gone through. And I suppose just the hope that you can actually come back to yourself and get back to some version of activity, and I suppose we're both just delighted to be doing that,
It's a great message, Karen, and that's exactly the reason why we got you guys on to talk about this kind of stuff, because I think it's very, very important, and it's very specific to a lot of our members, and particularly mums who are maybe even at that contemplative stage of wanting to come back and play football. Carmel, because we lost you for a little while along the way, I'm going to leave the last word to you. And to coin a phrase from a song not so long ago, are you back for good, or is this just a fleeting reappearance for Naomh Fionnbarra?
We might see how this year goes now first before I make any commitments. No, I think it's just really made me realize that how important it is in my life, and I kind of forgot how much I enjoyed it until I came back this year. So I don't know, maybe we'll keep going. Let's see how good Ivy is for the next few years now, or how good Jack is at covering for me. But no, I think it's really, really good that I think it's really, really good to have something like that. I'm glad I have it, and hopefully you'll keep going with it.
Brilliant. Ladies, I could chat to you for ages more, but I'm on a time limit on this one. Caroline, Burke and Carmel McCarthy, Naomh Fionnbarra in Cork, great to chat to you. So much important and relevant messages that a lot of our members, I'm sure, are going to pick up on. I'd like to thank you most sincerely for your time, because I know you've both got busy and hectic schedules and young kids to look after. So great to talk to you, and we'll catch up again soon, please God.
Thanks a million, Jackie. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jackie.